Testing, testing, testing. Can everyone hear me? Sorry, I for some reason I thought that like my microphone wasn't working correctly. Hello, how's everybody doing? Let's see if this works. Hold on. Testing. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that works. I have to see. Hold on. I have to pull up a preview real quick. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that works. Okay. So, hello. Sorry about that. SolarLune here. How's everybody doing today? I did some stuff to switch around like how my audio works. And it kind of messed things up a little bit, but like sorry, basically. Sorry. It's one of those things. How is everyone doing anyway? Welcome to the SolarLune indie game development kind of thing, sort of stream that I do every so often, about every week. And how's everybody doing? Let's get some music going real quick. We can just put this over here on the side. And what we'll do is we can just play these like in a sequence, I guess. Cool, that's loud. Yeah, okay, that should work. Let's actually keep this up. Well, I guess that's okay, it doesn't have to be up. Alright, so, yeah. Welcome. So, today, what I'll be doing is a little bit more game development with Go, the Go programming language. I've made a pretty good amount of progress since the last time I streamed. A couple of things is, as you can see, I have these. I did kind of little. Well, okay. Firstly, I have like actual 8-way movement here. So it's proper. You know, it looks like 8-way movement. I have collisions with these collision boxes. And I also am drawing this using just rectangles so I can actually see like where collisions hit and stuff. So the collision process is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I did a little bit of work on the tiles, a little bit, but for the most part, I just mainly just kind of am refining what's already there a little bit, in a sense. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I guess one thing, I'll kind of walk into a little bit of what I've done here. But basically the current method that I'm doing for collisions is I just basically make squares based on the tiled map. And I don't have tiled open right now. Let's see here. Let's pull it up from itch. But basically on the tiled map itself, each of these objects in the solid layer are collidable objects. And they get turned into something that you can't collide into in the actual game. As you can see, there's one down here that the camera doesn't scroll yet, but there's basically a block here, and that's what we're running into here. But basically, we have actual collisions, and the current approach is to simply loop through the player's collision box and check against all other collision boxes in the level, and resolve collisions on the x-axis, and then do it again if it keeps colliding. So it's a little like wasteful because this really could be done better, but it's not bad. You'll see that here basically in this sequence. We say, okay, while we should be checking for collisions, we look to see if we actually did collide with a solid object. So we have a function that we can call to actually on the level map, or it's in the level map file, but it's not actually belonging to a level map. It's just kind of a utility function that basically says, given a rectangle, it loops through all of the other rectangles for the map and sees if they intersect. This is using the image packages rectangle struct, which means that they have intersect functions that can determine if two rectangles intersect or not. So this says basically if they do intersect, and it's not just like an empty rectangle, then it adds that to the list of collisions. And so a collision is this struct that I made, which is basically what other rectangle did you collide with, the intersection rectangle. So you can say like, oh, you intersected by so much, what kind of collision it is, if it's something like, oh, it's an enemy, or oh, it's a solid, like that. And then also we have a data interface that basically says, you know, you can put anything in here. So this could be, for example, maybe it's a string, or maybe it's a map of data that we might want to, you know, take into consideration. I'm not using that right now. I really could actually just get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that because we don't actually need it right now. So collision, basically, the only thing we really need is to know the intersect rectangle. We don't actually need the other rectangle itself. So we'll get rid of that too. So let's just make it simpler so that if we actually do need that, we can add it back. But for now, the only things we really need are the only things we really need in the list of rectangles that are colliding with the player object is, where's the player? Other thing we really need is just to know what the intersection is and if it's a solid or not. So if we know that it's an intersection, then we can say, okay, you know, for each collision that you're looping through, if it's solid, then we want to basically move the player back according to the distance that the two rectangles intersect by. So if you look at this, you know, example, I'm moving at a certain rate here, and if I walk into a wall like that, then it basically is moving into it by that rate, by, let's say, 2 pixels. So when it does, the code here says, okay, we're colliding with a solid, and we're colliding or intersecting by a rectangle of 2 width by whatever it is, 16 height. So we say, okay, so just move back by 16, and that's where he's right up against the edge. And we say we collided with a solid, so we can break here, and we position the collision rectangle, because we're basically the position rect vector function I made here. It just positions a rectangle. There's no function to do that, which is strange. There's no function to position a rectangle. I guess that's because maybe, you know, different applications will position rectangles differently. If you're doing like an image processing, maybe you're gonna position them by the center. If you're doing a video game, you know, a 2D video game, you might position them by the top left. So I guess I kind of understand it, but at the same time, it would be nice to have functions to position a rectangle. Like just to like set the position of a rectangle. But anyway, that works. So then, oh, that's why I don't like that system where it like gets rid of the non-edited thing. I wonder if I can change that. Anyway, so yeah, the general process is check for collisions. If you do collide with one, break and do it again, because you might collide with more than one. Like for example, I guess this could actually get you into like a freeze if you collided with an object and moving the player back moved him into another object. And no, it would just kick him over to the opposite side of that object. It would kick him over to this side, I think. It would kick him back, it would kick him into another object, and it would kick him over there, which is not good. I guess that's kind of what they call zips in like speed running, because it's like you go partially into an object and it kicks you out. Depending on like if you like get into this wall but are moving this way, it'll kick you over here, like all the way out to this side of the screen or something. So that's kind of a cool. That's how that works, I guess. Anyway, so it works. That's, I guess, the bottom line. It works. It works pretty well. It's fun. Yeah, and so basically, if we loop through for a collision check and we never actually collide with any solids, then we're good. We don't need to actually do anything at that point. We can just continue, and we repeat the process for the y-axis, and then we move by the amounts that we're trying to move by. So that amount that we're trying to move by, dx and dy, that's what we're altering. So we say, oh, you know, you're moving into the wall, we'll move you back. That's what you end up moving by. So it's kind of like, it makes sense once you do it. It's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense once you actually do it. All right, so this is pretty solid. Yeah, I think I tried like coming at it from an angle, all that stuff, and it actually does feel pretty solid, pretty reliable. Something weird is that if I actually press down and left at the same time, it doesn't get registered. I'm not sure if that's something with Raylib or if that's something with my computer or my keyboard. I'm not sure. but I'm definitely experiencing that where I have to, if I can reliably press down and right or down and left at the same time and not move at the same time. I'm not sure exactly what's causing that, but this works. Jeremy Clark says, I'm really intrigued to see Go being used for game dev. It's a good language. Seems like a really simple language. That's why I like. It's simple. Okay, so then that's more or less everything here. Yeah. Just looking over the code here. Oh yeah, I did the vector normalizations that you actually move a little bit slower when you're moving diagonals. Cool. So the next thing we're gonna do, let's do the camera, because that's kind of important. Yeah, because we don't actually have a means to see the camera. That's something I was messing around with too, because basically the current method that I have for doing cameras is to use a camera, the ratelib camera 2D, which works, but the downside of using the camera 2D is there's no such thing as stretching. It just scales. There's no such thing as stretching to a viewport or anything like that. It's just like, how much zoom do you want on the camera? Which isn't really what we need in this situation. It doesn't really help us that much, I guess you could say. But actually, what we might want to do is use a combo of a camera 2D and then also the screen rendering process that we were using before. Because the screen rendering process before I liked because it just stretched the screen to be what you needed. So we'll try that. So what I'm doing here is going right back. Going right back to the old method of drawing. I think that should be it. Yeah, see, this is drawing to a screen texture. I guess it's called a render texture 2D. Yeah, render texture 2D. So this basically is drawing to a texture, and then we're rendering that to the window size. So no matter the size, the viewport is always basically the same size. Like, you can't ever see more of the screen by changing the window size there. So let's try this, and we might be able to also make do with a camera. So let's see if we can actually make use of that. Okay. Alright. Cool. So now let's see if we can actually do something cool with it like this. So let's see if this makes it so that the camera rotates. Yeah, it does. It doesn't really do what we need it to do, but it does rotate. So let's see if we can actually make use of this. So what we're going to try to do is position the camera in such a way no. What we want to do is basically position the camera so that it's the player is right in the center. So let's see if we can't get that to work here. It might be that the offset is not what I need to do, because I think there's an offset and there's a target. Yeah. So let's just change this, that the offset is fine, but the target is what we really want to have follow the player. So we'll say cam.target.x equals player.position.x, cam.target.y equals player.position.y. It ain't working. Let's see. Okay, so it is changing. Let's see here. Is it because it's not, maybe the offset is what I'm looking for, not the target? Or do I have to change the target for? Nope. Okay, so let's go ahead and just leave that there, but change this with the offset. Okay, I think it has to be negative. Okay, that's actually basically correct. It just needs to be mindful of the position of the screen. So, like we want it to be minus the system.screen W divided by 2. So we're centering it. Oh, or I guess plus. There we go. Nice. There's some artifacts in the drawing. It's probably that they it probably doesn't like drawing on a like, and it probably needs to, well, I was thinking that like the camera offset X and Y probably are floats, but I think, are they floats? Okay, they are. So let's make those ints. So that basically it's always whole numbers. That might be part of what's going on here. We round them off to ints, and then round them back to floats. That might help. Seems like that might have gotten rid of the lines, so that's pretty good. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to have this replaced by an actual object, probably. Jeremy Clark says, your keyboard sounds very satisfying. Thank you. I guess? I don't know if I should say thank you. Alright, so we're implementing a camera system. So we'll actually have a camera. That probably would be best. That way we can have something that kind of we can direct rather than directly saying like, oh, we want the camera to be positioned at the player. Alright, so we'll make a class for this. We'll make a struct for this. We'll just put it here in source, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Oops. Okay, I guess did it do anything? Yes. Alright, never mind. Yeah, so we'll make a source for this. Struct for this. So we'll make a new file. This will be called camera.go. It'll be in the main package, and we'll have a camera type camera struct, rather. And then we'll just have a function called update. Did I do that? Oh, whoops. Excuse me. There we go. We'll just have a. What do we do here? We could, I guess, have a pointer to a vector to have the camera point to that vector to determine what the target is. Or how do we have it set to a specific object? Because not every object might have a position. I guess we could make an interface, not an interface, an implementation. What's it called? Where you like say this thing fulfills this thing because it's got a position. Like make a function that returns the position, or for now we'll just do this a little simply. We'll just do this. Okay, so I think we're on the right track here. So we can just kind of smoosh this in here. Alright, so we have a camera. And we can update that camera. Undefined. Okay, so we'll kind of do this a little bit. Camera 2D. There, and then we'll say camera 2D offset. There we go. Alright, now we can actually make a camera. So we'll do it here. We'll make sure that we return a pointer to the camera. All right. So this is now looking for a cam. So we'll just say camera.camera2D. Oops. We'll need to print that, and we should be good to go. We just have to actually call camera.update. So we'll do that before here. We'll also pass DT. So what we're gonna do here is, I need to do this. There we go. What we're gonna do here is, there we go. We're gonna make this a little smoother, but this is fine for now. Nebula Black F says floor or seal the X Y position for rendering because the movement doesn't look smooth. I don't know if there's something we can do about that. I guess. I guess maybe we'll try it. I'm not sure if that will work. Let's see. Math dot floor. Let's see. Okay, so it just needs to be converted back. Can't use as position. Okay, right. So we have to convert it. There we go. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah, it doesn't really do much. Nebula Black F says, I meant for the player object, not the camera. All right, we'll try it. I don't know if there's a big difference between, I mean, that's still fundamentally the same thing. If we floor the player position versus the camera's offset, it's the same. Whether I floor this, well, whether I floor this here in the update function at the end, or I floor it here, doesn't matter. If you mean like flooring it in such a way that basically we're getting rid of the remainder, so that it's always, you know, kind of working at the same rate or whatever, that's probably not what we want to do. If we wanted to actually get this not to be all kind of janky and jiggly, we probably should actually choose a well, I don't know if there is a way to do it, because basically, let's say that he's always moving smoothly when he moves in the cardinal directions. When he moves in the angles, it's going to be kind of jiggly because it's less than that amount, and it's not going to be divisible. I'll try something. This might be able to be solved just by having a little bit of a smoother movement, so we'll try that. have softness. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I'm still not quite sure what we're gonna do for setting this target position. I guess we could use it, have it be a vector 3, just a vector 2, and position mess with that. But that's basically the same thing that we had previously, so I don't really want to do that, I guess. Okay, so let's try this. We have the offsets X and Y. Then we're gonna say we want to add to this TX, TY. Say offset X plus equal off X minus, or TX minus off X times softness, camera dot softness. See how that goes. Don't work. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's just 0. Is that because it's... Let's see, I don't see where it would be reducing to a... Yeah, all these are floats, so I'm not sure why it's reducing to not a float. Oh, because I'm... Wow, I'm tripping. Okay. Of course, softness is, I gotta set the softness value. That's better. But now let's see what's exactly going on here. Let's make the softness a little lower, because it should be more of a smooth. There we go. Alright, not bad. We just have to make it not so jank, which we can do by let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's make it a position variable for this. And then we can say itself. And then we can also do like this. Okay, negative. There we go. Y. Fez Pasarino says, "Sup, Luna, are you using a built-in camera system, or are you creating and implementing a fresh one?" A little bit of both. There is a camera system, a camera in Raylib, Camera 2D, but I am basically building on that a little bit to make a little bit of a more comfortable, I guess you could say, approach for using the camera with the game specifically. It's not really anything more than kind of a utility built on the Camera 2D, Raylib's Camera 2D. So, okay, this should be good. We just have to do in 32 here. To float 32. To get rid of those glitchy lines, because we're drawing on... oh no. What's this? I guess. Let's see. No. Okay, hold on. Because I'm all over the place. There. Alright, so it's not quite working. I guess it does need to be negative? Okay. Nice. Very nice. Cool. So now what we would like to do, what would be nice, is if there was some way to basically set limits to how big, how much camera we want seen at any given time. So what we'll do a couple of things. One will be, let's test this out with a little bit of a larger map, so we can have a little bit more clarity on whether it's working or not. There we go. Cool. So this should be a pretty good approximation of kind of an average map in that, like, it scrolls. So what we want to have happen is basically the camera can't go beyond 0, 0 at the top left, and it can't go beyond this point at the bottom right. So let's go ahead and just test this out real quick. So we can move up at the top left. Also, we want the FPS to draw at the top left, not at the top left. Like, we want it to draw like at the top left of the screen, not at the top left of the world. This is working so far. So we just need to where do we start drawing the FPS? Yeah, we want to draw that up like here. GUI layer. So this draws basically before. No, we wanted to draw basically after the screen texture gets initiated, but so that it's on the texture that gets stretched, but before we use the camera stuff to scroll around. It's not here. Would I? Oh, it's because we're clearing. Okay, so let's clear the background before, like before anything, I guess. Yeah, go there. Oh, now it's drawing. Oh no. Okay, so I see. We just have to draw this basically after everything. So right there would probably be good. There we go. Cool. So then that would be the GUI layer. Okay, let's see. Big says, what algorithm is he using to resolve collision? What algorithm? Oh, what algorithm am I using to resolve collision? Oh! Yeah, basically I'm not actually resolving collisions in algorithm. I'm laughing because it's kind of hilarious that, like, Like it's funny because like I am using the opposite of an algorithm. Like it's the most like basic mess. If you've ever looked up like how to do platforming physics or just old school physics like collision physics and stuff, well, it's a little different because if you did this like and you can't see my hands right now because I'm doing air quotes, but the correct way, this little hand will be the air quotes. The correct way, if you were doing things through the correct way, what you would do is you would take a map that you would design using a tile editor or whatever, and everything would be aligned to a grid, right? So like these objects, most of these would be aligned to a grid. These that are like slightly off wouldn't exist. You couldn't have those. You would basically have just, you know, right on the money objects aligned to a grid. So what you would then do is you would pass that into your game, and you would basically say, okay, so if we go ahead and check out, if we represent the map as an array of numbers, basically to represent the tiles or the solidity of those objects, then you would use that data to determine if there's a collision. You would say, okay, I'm in cell, and there's numbers down here in tile that you can read. So like this is the player cell. We'll say the player cell is here on this cell, and it says, okay, he's in 5-4. Then when you want to move left, check if 4-4 is free, and in the collision data, and if so, then you can move left. But in this case, it wouldn't be, because you would say that basically this is a non-walkable tile, so that's how you would determine collisions ordinarily. The way I'm doing it is basically all of these collision objects themselves in tile get turned into rectangles, and I just go ahead and I just move through all map collisions against the player's collision rectangle itself and check to see if it's colliding. That's it. It's basically the same thing. It's way more inefficient, but it allows me to have objects that are not on the grid, have collisions that are not on the grid. Oh, there we go. It allows me to have collisions that are not on the grid, and this would basically, I think this might be better if I wanted to have non-rectangular collisions as well. Like if I was going to do a circular collision check or a angled or polygonal collision check, then I would probably have to do this anyway with each individual collision. I wouldn't be able to just rely on a grid. So it's something to think about. Let's see, Faxton says, is this gear end? Nope, the OST is, but not this game. Also, I just got to say that I'm pretty excited to finally catch one of your streams. You might not know me, but I've been a big fan of you ever since the Sunbox tutorials you had. Thank you, Faxton. Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to have people in the stream who have been watching me for a little while here. Nebula Black F says you can just clamp the camera position to a limit using map height and width. Exactly. Yeah, that's the idea. Albert Moravec says, dude, this looks awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Fez says overlapping collisions is tough. Yeah, and that's kind of why I did this approach, because there could theoretically be multiple collisions in a single space. When you try to move into a space, let's say you're moving really fast and you move into a space, you might be colliding with two different objects, and you can't take the one that's shorter. Like if I was colliding, let's say I was in this situation where I was this blue block and I moved really fast from this position into this position, it might think, okay, well, I'll just move to this position because this is outside of the collision that you're in. But you're in this larger collision, and it needs to basically check until it's completely free. So basically, that's why I did this approach, just to make sure that like you make sure that it goes through the entirety of those of all collisions it's colliding with. This wouldn't be necessary for most situations, especially for this game, because this is just a top-down RPG. It's unlikely I'll probably even have polygonal collisions. I probably would just have block, square or rectangular collisions, maybe polygonal, maybe diagonal, but that's basically it. Like I wouldn't have really too many complex collisions. Diagonal collisions, I don't think there's support for that apart from just rotating collision objects in here. So anyway, I'm just saying that I don't need to I don't really need this approach to things, but it works pretty well still. Nebula Black F says the correct way to implement collisions would be using binary space partitions with the categories of objects along with the polymorphic stuff for point and line polygon rectangle collisions. You also have to account for frame rate and velocity of objects as well. Maybe even account for depth if your game features layers. Right. So yeah, it gets more complex the more stuff you're trying to do. And yeah, binary space partition, that feels a little bit unnecessary. That's correct, I guess, in the sense. Let me correct in the sense like that would be how you would do it if you were like trying to make like a AAA game or something like that, where it's like a huge open world or something, and it's like you have thousands of objects that need to check for collisions. You got to pare down the areas where an object needs to check for collision, right? So I think if I understand what you're saying, and if I understand binary space partitioning, then yeah, that makes sense. But like for most games, you're not going to need that. You know, even this, which is horribly inefficient, would be more than fast enough for a huge map with lots of collisions, I think. Especially with Go, because Go is a compiled language. It probably will be fine. We'll see. But I'm pretty confident it'd be fine. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is actually limit. Nebula says BSP helps when you have 10,000 plus objects. Exactly. So like, you know, it's just not, you're not really gonna need that. Like most games aren't really gonna need that. Let's see here. Fez says, glad I ended up here from the back in the days with the first gear in. Me too. Let's see. Disco Broccoli says, okay, wait, Disco Broccoli? Interesting. Let's see. This is pretty cool. I don't see many UI things written in Go. Question: is this cross-platform compatible? Yes. What I'm using is Raylib. And Raylib works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I think that there was a little bit of work to get it working on mobile devices. I don't know if that's still going on, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm mainly just working with desktop, you know, game computer, you know, the main desktop computers. But you can also, this is just basically a C port, a port from C of Raylib. That's where the original platform, you know, that's the original platform for the library itself, and it's just been ported to Go. So it uses the C library, the C headers and things. I think the C library itself to call the necessary functions to, you know, draw things and test for collision and rather test for input and things like that. But if you wanted to, you could go with a pure Go game framework like Ebiton. Let me see. Let me pull that up. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's Ebiton. Yeah, Ebiton, which is basically kind of like a simple, well, actually, yeah, they're a dead simple 2D game library in Go. Ebiton. So, and it supports these platforms, which is a significant amount more, which is nice. So I might consider going to Ebiton at some point, because I do want to have like more options, but at the same time I don't really do you know, mobiles or web browser stuff. Even though the concept of playing, you know, cool games on the web is interesting, I just don't really need it myself. But at the same time, I mean, this is pretty outstanding looking stuff. That is, like, I would love to make something with this stupid Mode 7 airship. Just, this is delicious. I love it. So that's, like, you know, so anyway, I'm like, yeah, it's like, I would, you know, you can use anything, but if you go with, I guess this is kind of a general question or a general approach to things, is if you're using a language and you're using a framework, if the framework is kind of completely implemented in the language, then it's more likely to support more platforms. You can double check, but basically if something's made completely in Lua or Python or Go or C++ or C# or whatever, you're more likely to support all the platforms when you go to check. You should always check, but it's, you know, you can kind of say like, oh, it's written in Go, then it probably would, you know, support more platforms than if it wasn't, if it was written in C, because then you have to deal with other stuff if you want to kick it over to other platforms, assuming that it's possible. Let's see. Big says, my question was meant to be more specific. What are you doing to using separate objects that overlap, and are you doing anything to prevent bouncing between other overlapping objects? Nope. I'm not doing anything to prevent bouncing. I'm just basically using well, I talked about this a little bit, but basically if a collision is detected between the player, for example, the player's rectangle and one of the map rectangles, it basically just kicks him out according to whichever direction he's trying to move. So like if you go to if you're, this is the player, will say, if he moves into the square, this map collision square, by any appreciable amount like that, what goes image rectangle struct has is a function that basically returns the rectangle that it's moved, the intersecting rectangle. So the player can now say, oh, I'm in there by, let's say, 6 pixels, and move out by 6 pixels. That's what this code does. If you're trying to move right, it moves you left by the width of the intersecting rectangle, and otherwise it moves you right by the width of the intersecting rectangle. Vaxton says, I've been making a game, although it's a 3D platformer. Things games like Inside. Usually I'm making art assets in my friend's coding, although I usually help him because he's a beginner. We use Unity because I believe it's a bit better than other engines. Fair enough. And yeah, Unity is a lot. It's a good engine. It's a completely capable engine. Nothing fundamentally wrong with it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is actually lock this down so that it can't actually exceed the size of the level. So how are we going to do this is we need to have the camera know like how big the map is. So one thing we can do, because the camera, I'm in the like currently I'm like mixing things a ton, which is not great. Like the player is just out there in the package, the camera is just out there in the package, the level map is just out there in the package. Everything's just kind of like accessible. So I can actually like grab the level map here, I think. Or is it because it's not? Let me see. Because I was able to grab the player. Yeah. It's weird. I thought, am I not able to grab the level map? That's weird. It's in the same package. Oh, current map. Whoops. Yeah. So it's kind of dangerous. I would like some sort of like clarification on that, but it's okay. This will work for now, I think. So we'll just test to see if the current map exists, because it could theoretically not exist. So then we want to get the width. So I guess I'll just say max map. There we go. So we say if current map is not equal nil, then map w equals current map dot width. Map h equals current map dot height. Okay. It doesn't like that because these are ints. Oh no, that's fine. So let's go ahead and check this out. We'll say camera.camera 2d.offset.x. I don't know if we can actually clamp it. I don't know if there's a clamp. Yeah, there's no clamp function, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so we'll have to just clamp it manually. Which is fine. We'll say we'll just do it like this. If camera.camera 2d.offset, well, we'll do it like this. If camera.position.x is less than 0, camera.position.x equals 0. Let's do that for now, and we'll put this at the bottom. That way we can actually save some function calls, save some lines right there. Let me say else if camera.position.x is greater than map w. What was that? What was that? I heard a sound and I'm scared. If the position is greater than map w, then we'll just clamp it. Okay, fine. So float 32. Do it like this. All right. So what this is not going to do is work correctly. I already know that because we're working with it's not gonna work. Like it's not gonna work. Let's see here. It's definitely not working correctly, yeah. So let's see exactly what the position is doing. $26. Oh, that's in tiles. Okay. Oh, I thought tile width. Okay, yeah. So it's width times current map dot tile height. Tile width. There we go. All right. So let's see here. That still doesn't work. But this is annoying because this isn't the position of the camera. It's offset. It's this negative basically. 151. It should be negative 151. This is 0, and then once you go this direction, it should be plus. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do this correctly and just figure it out. So we have the tx minus off x off y times camera position level x. So equals negative. Can we do it like that? No. Let's see. Let's see. Big says this is dead simple and has good results. Thanks. No problem. No problem at all. Yeah, that's why I like it. It's kind of awkward and a little bit. I wish there was some way, like I said earlier, to position rectangles, but yeah, it works. Nebula Black says clamp is just min, max, value, low, high. Yeah. Just make a function for it. Clamp is used anywhere, everywhere, anyways. Yeah, I guess I should. But I don't want to. Okay. All right, we'll do it. Wrong way. Value int. I guess value min, max int. There we go. And returns int. Return math dot min. And this is min. Are you gonna actually? All right. Well, fine. So we want to convert this to an int. So let me just think about this for a little bit. Maximum value, right, and then minimum, yeah, max. Okay, so this is gonna work because it needs to be float 64. Oops. I would say this is like the weakest part of Go. And the part that causes the most friction is the constant need to transfer back and forth. That's like the only real complaint I have with the language. Like the one thing that's just like I can't get over it is something that is not solvable unless there's something I can turn on in the compiler or something to like, please don't bother me if a float 32 and a float 64, if I put a float 32 in a float 64 slot or something. I don't know. Let's see here. Luis Figurado says math is in floats. Right. Nebula Black F says not int float. I could use a float. Int for this, right? Do I have to not? Why would I? Because I'm clamping int. Well, like I said, I have to. I should see what I'm clamping first. Let's actually see about this, because this is kind of annoying. Hold on. Because yeah, the camera position is not quite right. Wow, we've been going for an hour. Nice. Okay, so let's see exactly what's up with this these numbers. Let's not mess around with this offset for now. Yeah, it's not quite right. Like it should be it shouldn't be that high. Why is it so high? Tx equals system. Oh, it should be minus. I guess maybe. Let's try that. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Alright, I think that might be better. But before I do this, let me see here. Dude, I know system exists. I just whatever. I know it exists. Like I don't know why it's like acting like it doesn't. Am I not spelling it correctly? Okay, it didn't. It didn't import it. That's why. All right. Divided by 2. We'll just make sure that executes like that. All right. So that might be all we need. Nope. How about plus? I guess yeah. Actually, plus would have been correct. Alright, there we go. Now we actually have correct positions. So the position of the camera is the position. The position of the camera is the position of the camera center point, which is important because now we can actually easily kind of know a little bit more about how we're doing stuff, I guess. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually kind of cut this up a little bit. Let's see here. Alright, so if camera.position, oh that's right. So camera.position.x equals system.clamp. So we'll just do like that for now. Go to make sure it's exported with a capital C. We want to export it, I guess, as a float 32. That's what position X is. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna clamp camera.position.x to be. Oh, it needs to be float values, I guess, as well. Or is, yeah, floats. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna clamp the position by the minimum. Can be system.screen width 5x2, and the maximum can be map w minus system.screen width 5x2. So basically, this should say we can only get within one screen. Like, yeah, now we can't go left past the camera doesn't go left anymore past the map border. And we should be able to move right, yeah, until we get to the map border. There we go. Is that right? Is that where the map border is? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So we'll just do that again for position Y. Oops. Screen height, and map height. And now we're, oh, that didn't work. Let's, oh. And that should be good. Yeah, so that works. Now we actually have a little bit of a game world. Like, this is an actual area. That's really cool. It looks and feels nice. Very nice. Okay, okay. Nebula Black F says, I don't know why clamp, lerp, etc. are missing from standard libraries in mean languages. That's a very good question and a very good point. For Go, I don't quite get it because, I mean, I get it a little bit because, like, you can't have another clamp function named clamp. Like, you can't have one that works with only ints now. Like, this doesn't work. It won't work. It's like, no, there's already a clamp, right? Yeah, clamp redeclared in this block. So you'd have to have like clamp I, 32, clamp I64, clamp F64, so F32. So it's like, that's a little awkward for them to include just like extra functions, so many of them in a standard library. I guess I kind of, but at the front, you would still use it. I think I'd still use it over making my own clamp function. But for other languages, yeah, I don't know why they don't have it, because like clamp, lerp, sign, like, in Java it's kind of crazy. Like Java, there's no sign function, like direct sign function. I think it's like you have copy, sign, and some other like one function gives copies the sign from another function, and then one function determines. It's something crazy. Like there's no actual sign function, I think, in Java. I think this one Go does have a sign function, but it's not quite. Yeah, it's just a boolean. Like what am I supposed to do with that? Like returns true if x is negative or negative 0. What? That don't even make no sense. Sign bit returns, like, why not just returns true if x is a greater than 0? Like, why return true if x is negative or negative 0? What? I'm guessing that it's supposed to be, I guess, the sign, if the negative bit is true, maybe? If there's a bit that determines, yeah, I guess it's, if there's a bit that determines that it's negative, whatever. Okay. So anyway, that's there. But anyway, this works. Alright, so this actually works pretty well. We just need some animation for walking. Also, some GUI stuff would be nice, so we can actually like interact with stuff. Also, I guess some function, I don't know if I want this, but some functions that you can't step outside the map might be good. Jeremy Clark says, do you have plans for audio yet? I think the next time I make a game, I'll try to use the Sunbox DLL. I would love to use the Sunbox DLL. Big says the sign bit indicates if the number is negative. 0 can be negative. Oh, cool. Right. So yeah, I would love to use this Sunbox DLL, but part of me is like, that's kind of a lot of work just to, play songs, but I can see it being really cool especially if you need to use it. Like if you do something cool with like the audio where it needs to slow down, or you have different channels, like that would be great. Fez Pasarino says, this music though, amazing composing, Loon. Thank you very much. But yeah, with Jeremy, back to Sunbox using the DLL file, that would be great if you had like a song and you added drums, you played the drums, or slowed down the song, or maybe shifted the pitch even, or enabled reverb on the song if you were like in a specific location. You could do all that kind of stuff with the DLL, I think, which is awesome. So it definitely would be worth it if you had like had the ability to play the songs via DLL. All right, so maybe I'll do that with this. I don't really have too many plans that would necessitate that, but it could be cool to just like try to test out a DLL execution and SO execution and stuff like that with Go. I've never done it before. All right, so collisions are working. So one thing I needed to do is I have the player and the camera being instantiated here. They probably should be instantiated in the load level map function, which basically loads up the current the tile map. It creates the map collisions. It does everything basically that you would kind of want it to do. Also, map collisions should be cleared out here. It does start over. Okay, so yeah, the next thing I'm gonna do is move this stuff over to the. Let's see. Whoa. Jeremy Clark says, yeah, LPF. don't know what LPF is, but when the player goes underwater. Oh, low pass filter. Yeah, low pass filter when the player goes underwater. Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would be really cool. I could see, like, it gives you options, and I think that would be really cool to have the ability to do those kind of cool immersive things. Maybe speeding up the song when they're time, even something like that, like, you know, speeding up the time, the tempo when the timer runs out. Like when you're under 30 seconds in an arcade game, it's just like, you know, it kind of speeds up a little bit, or goes a little higher. That kind of stuff would be awesome. Let's see here. Nebula Black F says, "What are you gonna do now? Clean up?" Yeah, I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit the code. Probably put the player function in the load level map here. That way, like, if we ever restart it, yeah, we don't have to do this. Yeah, see, this should be contained in the load level map function. It should load and create all necessary objects. Yeah, so nothing should exist outside of the level map, because that's the entire point. You can move from one map to another. It should basically destroy all of the old stuff and put it into load in all the new stuff. There we go. Cool. We can add some sort of entity. Would be nice, I guess, to test. So let's go ahead and pull up a sprite. Oh, that's Discord. Whoops. No. Oh, do I not have a sprite on itch? Where did I? It's in. I know I have it in Steam, but I thought I had it on itch. Maybe not. I guess not. All right. So let's go ahead and make something that we can interact with. This will be in, I guess, the tile set. I guess it will be a. I guess it doesn't really matter. This is just a test more so than anything. How about a sign? We'll just make a sign. Okay. It's a little bit big for a sign. I like how everybody is discussing. I like how there's an extended discussion of, like, signs. Like, what is a sign function? Why is a sign function? How is a sign function? Like, it's supposed to do this. No, it's not. You're dumb. Like, you're dumb. You don't understand math. You Neanderthal. It's like, oh my goodness. Just off of a sign. Like, this is a sign of things to come, guys. All right. So. All right. We're spriting here. We're spriting a sign here. It's a sign. Alright, that's pretty good actually. That's not bad. Yeah, it looks a little weird. That's fine. We'll make it look a little weird. We'll just replace this with something less eye-catching. It's not supposed to be that dark. We'll just go with a darker gray, I guess. apparently I'm gonna actually like try. I'm gonna actually like try to draw this thing. I was just gonna like, this was just gonna be like a little stupid sign, but apparently I'm gonna waste time on like correct shape and shading and form. Let's see here. Like this. I'm gonna dither, even though I don't really like dithering. Alright, we're just gonna like, yeah, because I don't really know what the context of this is gonna be in the game, so we'll just have a general, I'll just scribble on it, whatever. Yeah, whatever, that's fine. Alright, so that's actually a quality sign. So what we're gonna do is, let's do this. Let's undo this. Where are we? Alright, so how this is gonna work, the general idea, let's name this objects, so I can actually tell the difference between stuff. The general idea that I have here is, I'm going to make a square here that represents the sign, and then we'll put the sign just on a tile like that. And then the object itself will be, I don't know. There's a way to like make types. Here we go, okay, player spawn. So then we want, I guess we'll say NPC, and it will be yellow. I believe that's how it was in RPG Maker, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so then we'll do this. We'll give it a property that will be message, and we'll have it say like, hey there, and we'll just cut it there. Okay, so oh, this is interesting. Hold on. I pulled out my headphones. So the process I'm on, or what I'm doing right now is, okay, well, I'll do it like this. We'll have solids. We'll just have solid. We'll have a solid layer and then another object layer. So this will go on the solid layer, so it automatically gets a collision generated for it. I guess that's fine. All right, now we can't move into the sign. Nice. Now what we got to do though. Now what we got to do though is we got to basically make an entities list. So we'll do that over here. I guess we'll just make it NPCs to be more specific, and we'll make a struct specifically for NPCs. Type NPC struct. Alright, so, and then we'll just have func NPC update. Excuse me, what? Undefined. Oh, I always do this. I always get the type and the declaration confused. There we go. Alright. Cool. So we have an NPC something that represents an NPC. The NPC doesn't necessarily have to be solid, so it's probably best that we leave that definition as two different things for now, because some NPCs you might want to step on and yeah, or something, I don't know. So we'll think about that in a little bit. For now, though, what we'll do is, excuse me. I have to think about that. Let's see. Nebula Black F says SolarLune, does Go have twinning libraries that rival that of ActionScript era? No, I don't believe it does. I think there is some twinning capability available in Raylib. Yeah, I don't think there's anything for twinning with Go, but I think Raylib might have twinning. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. Let me double check here. Maybe I'm mistaken. I feel like there might have been something in the Go thing. Maybe there's nothing for math. There's something for GUI. There's something for physics. Easing. Here we go. Easing. Okay, so this isn't really tweening. It's just easing, but kind of. So it looks like there's a few different easing things here. Linear none. Linear none. In linear, you got sine, you got circular, you've got cubic. So you've got some well, a pretty good amount of easing functions here, which is nice. So that not really tweening per se, but it's not bad. So we're making a NPCs list that represents a list of NPCs. They don't have to be pointers because it's basically supposed to exist only on the map. And once the map switches, the NPCs get unloaded. They can be destroyed. It's fine. So we're just gonna do it like this: NPCs equals make an array of NPC 0 to start with, and then we can add to that. So. Dude, I have no idea what that was. That was the craziest thing. Sorry about that massive interruption of service. That was like, I alt-tabbed and my computer crashed. I have no idea why that happened. I guess I don't know what in the world. I don't know. But I alt-tabbed. It died. That was the craziest thing. Okay. Well. Dang, and yeah, that was 5:38. Yeah, it just like 5:39. Dang. Whoops. All right. Well, sorry. Yeah, that was an accident, or just an unfortunate event. Well, oh, the audio got lower. Oh, sorry about that. Thanks, Luis, for letting me know. Nebula Black F says the funny thing is YouTube couldn't handle it either. Like everything, like a computer just shut down. I don't think it was super hot, although I had some stuff on top of it. Maybe that's why the fan wasn't working correctly or something. I don't know. Let me see. Let me move this off of here. Let's do. Yeah. Maybe my computer's getting a little hot. Maybe I need to get a more powerful fan or something. I haven't noticed it. I mean, it does. The fans do blow hard when I'm streaming or playing videos, but like otherwise, or you know, when I'm doing intensive 3D stuff, but otherwise it's not that bad. That was like catastrophe. It just exploded. All right, so I apologize once again. Let's get right back to it. I hope it doesn't crash this time. Let's see. Let that just be a lesson. I had my trusty compressed air. Always good to keep compressed air on you. You never know when that might help you. Yeah, so it's something to keep in mind. All right, well, let's go ahead and play some more music. All right, we got the mic, we got the desktop audio. Started at 4:15. Okay, so we're approaching, going on an hour and a half. All right, back to it. Dust in my nose. All right. All right, we're good. We good. I guess actually draw level map could, well, okay, yeah, I guess draw level map could actually take place. Yeah, we'll put the player drawing in there too, I guess. We'll leave it alone because the level map isn't a thing yet. It's not a, yeah, I probably should actually compress the level map into a struct that has these properties, like the map, the collision rectangles, the NPCs. I'll do that later though. Nebula Black F says videos, whatever you're streaming or watching, are actually quite intensive, even for the best of computers. This is quite normal. Yeah, that's weird. Even after all this time, streaming, or not streaming, but like watching videos, internet videos, is something that like everybody does, but it takes a lot out of a computer. Big says use compressed air to cool the CPU. Maybe that's what I gotta do. All right. We good. Let's get back to it. So what we're gonna do now, let's actually see where we're at right now, so I can get a reminder. Okay, so we have this thing we can't touch, but we want to be able to interact with it. So we can press a key, for example, the action key, which I defined earlier in system, and we can basically interact with the object itself. Actually, I guess that could be space as a maybe a little bit more like yes, of course, kind of a button. Yeah, it's fine. So what we need to do then, let's make another function, I guess, that is point check. And then what this will do is, given an image dot point, I think that's the thing. Yeah, I think there should be an ability to tell if a point is within a rectangle. So it'll say for wait, no. I'm trying to think of the right way to do this, because basically I need to know if a certain point is within a certain rectangle. Like basically I need to know like, well, I'm probably making this too generalistic. This is probably a bad approach. I need to do this across multiple objects first, and then make a function that serves both of those purposes. I did this the other way around, and I'm paying for it basically, because I'm trying to like generalize a function to allow you to check a point in a rectangle and determine if it's, hold on, is that super loud? No, okay. Like check a point and determine if it's within a rectangle for the NPC, but I don't really have that set up yet. Let's see, we'll just do this. Point, we'll say NPC check. For NPC, or blank NPC in range NPCs. Oh, that's right. So an NPC needs a thing. Okay, hold on. Because an NPC needs an interact rectangle. So we'll call it interact. Alright, so we're good to go, I think. Nebula Black F says, what you need is point rect collision checking. Yeah, and I think that exists. I just wanted to have it work with NPCs specifically, but I feel like I'm not properly laying down the foundation, but that's okay. We'll just keep going. All right, so we say if NPC dot interact rec dot I guess in. Is there a point overlap? I thought there was a thing that like worked with points. Sub union. Let's see here. Do they only take rectangles? Okay. All right. Well, then never mind. If they only take rectangles, then it doesn't have to be a point. It can just be a regular lib vector 2. All right. So t equals image.rectangle rect. Excuse me. This is point.x, point.y, point.x, point.y. Okay. And we say if npc.interactRect dot, or I guess if t.in npc.interactRect return true. Oh wait, we have to leave that. No, otherwise return false. Okay. So then we don't need collided. Okay, we're good. So I think that should be a good start. Yeah. Then we don't need a. I mean, we could just I could do like a if and if, but it's just easier to just make a rect and push it in there and just do that. So we'll see. We'll see if this works. One thing we need to do is actually create NPCs. So what we'll do is okay. So regardless of whether it's this, if it's a solid or not, we want to make an NPC for it. So we say NPCs equals append NPCs new NPC. Cool. So now we can just go like this. New NPC equals new NPC, and then we can actually touch this little guy and update him. We'll say the interact rec equals or dot min dot x equals this. We'll just do it like this. I don't know why I did this. I made this intentionally difficult for myself. All right, x, y. We're good. Oh, it has no idea what obj is. Okay. Okay. I'm doing this wrong order. Or we'll do it like this. Yeah, because it actually doesn't matter if it's solid or not in terms of, like, we only want it to make collisions if it is a solid thing. Otherwise, we don't really care. But, like, we want to probably do something like this. There we go. There we go. I think that's a little better. I think we're good. Alright, so the game's still playable. That's a good sign. Alright, now what we need to do is allow NPCs specifically to do stuff. So we'll pass a delta value for update. What? Oh, I always do this the wrong order. Ugh. And then we'll draw. Okay. And I'll just copy and paste this because I'm lazy. So instead of the collision rect, we have the interact rect. And instead of P, it's NPC. And instead of white or blue, we want yellow. Alright, so we have update and draw. So now when we go to main, for NPC, for blank NPC, range NPCs, c dot update dt draw. Yo, it didn't work. All right, let's see. I think it's because I have to, yeah, we're making NPCs for all these guys. We don't need to make one if it's a solid. We only want to make an NPC. Oh no, I have to do everything over again. Hold on. In order to pull it tiled, I got to okay. So what we need to do is figure out a way to do what we got to do here. Hold on. Okay, so also open up Steam. So yeah, we don't want to create NPCs for these. We just want to create NPCs for this. So it's because it's the type NPC. Okay, so that's what we're looking for specifically. If obj.type equal to NPC. Okay, so what we're doing now, yeah, we specifically only want to add actually NPCs like that. Yeah, that makes more sense. That's good. There we go. So now this is a yellow block indicating there's an NPC there. These are white blocks still, so they're just ordinary blocks, ordinary collision blocks, but this is something we can't touch because there's also a white block under there, and it's an NPC now. Excellente. Let's see. Banjo Media says, hello, any Sunbox streams coming soon? Sure. I can make the next stream a Sunbox stream. Slider says, hey, is he using Godot? Nope. Banjo says, yep, no. Slider, what IDE is that? Visual Studio Code. It's not really an IDE, it's just a text editor, more so. But it's still functional. It works fine. Let's see. Banjo says, what distro are you using? Linux Mint. Although I might not be staying on Linux Mint for long if it's crashing. You might have missed it. It sounds like you might have just gotten here. But basically, I had a catastrophic system failure like 15 minutes ago. For some reason, my computer literally crashed trying to Alt-Tab. So, nice. All right, so we have this NPC here. That's a block. I mean, a sign. So now we just need a method to interact with it. So for the player, we basically need to have a state that determines what kind of the player can currently do. We'll just use a string for that. You know what? It probably be excuse me. It probably would be better to use an enum or something like that. I'm not sure if Golang has enums. It might just have types, which is fine. Oh, consts. Alrighty. Alright, so it looks like it used consts. Alright, so we'll do that. State. What is player? I guess actually I don't have to do that. something like that. How does this? Banjo says all of my computers are not running Sunbox and it's driving me crazy. Is there no... Let's see, I'm sorry. I'm looking for enums, but I don't quite see... Int const iota? I don't know what the iota... What is iota? What is that? Alright, well, I'll just do it like this because I'm stupid. I'll figure out how to do this correctly later. Alright, so this can just be an int then. So then what we'll do, update, draw, interacting. Alright, so then we also need some sort of a pointer to something to determine what we're interacting with, I guess. Well, let's not deal with that for now. Let's just focus on what we're doing. Okay. Nebula Black F says, "Oh, you like Rinlang SolarLune?" I believe I do, but I'm not sure if there's like too much functionality for actually using the language, which is a shame. I was looking at it, but I didn't see any like game development tools for it, unfortunately, yet. So I was like, oh well, you know, can't really do much with it if I can't get access to, you know, your usual game dev frameworks and things. Although that might have been a little hasty. Big Mofo says, Go has no enum. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it has basically a straight up enum, which is fine. Yeah, that's fine if it doesn't have an enum. Just because, I mean, you know, what do you really need an enum for, I guess? Let's see. Banjo says, so what's the story of this game? Not sure. I haven't gotten really that far in it yet to kind of determine what the story is going to be. I'm thinking that, like, it has to be something kind of suitably exploratory. Yeah, I gotta figure out exactly what to make it about. But basically, this feels solid enough that like I could have a pretty interesting game out of it, I think. I'd have to kind of come up with a good idea. Some sort of like, I'm thinking something where it's like you have to come up with, I don't know. Oh, did I run out of music? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking some sort of system or like something where it's about a character who has to like explore or something. I don't know. Like he's stolen away to another land, he's trying to get back, or something. Maybe he's trying to be rid of humans. Like he's tired, right? Like he's tired of interacting with people, and he's tired of, you know, talking to people. He's tired of interacting and just he wants to be alone, basically. So he's struggling with like just a feeling of not wanting to be around humans anymore. And we'll say that he's a human, just not wanting to be around people anymore. Because people are trash sometimes. So like, like that could be an interesting concept for a game. Something where, excuse me, by the way, something where it's like you have to. I keep coughing and I don't drink a single drop of water. Despite having water right there. Yeah, that could be an interesting idea. So like it's kind of like he grows as a person on his way to maybe the end of the world or something. So you start off in maybe kind of idyllic areas. Excuse me. But as you solve puzzles and help people, you go further and further in, and you get in sparser and sparser and more dire situations. But you the this character also grows. That's something that a lot of media, I feel like a lot of media doesn't really cover character development. And I think that's probably, I would say character development is like the the crux of, for me, interesting media. Like if it has an interesting character or a horrible character who gets better over time, or even a good character who gets horrible over time, like both of those are interesting, very interesting transformations to me. Like I love, you know, kind of the growth or the downfall, and a character who starts off hopeful and tries to help everybody, and slowly but surely over the course of, you know, a 6-hour game gets jaded and sad and gets to the point of like not wanting to interact with people, or, you know, hating people, or whatever the case is. Like that would be an interesting kind of journey as well, because it's like it's kind of like an interesting thing, because I you know, both in a growth, like how do I become better, how do I help people, or a downfall, you know, people aren't worth saving. Both of those are interesting viewpoints, because they're you know, something that I think everyone basically thinks at some point, where it's like, oh man, I can't stand this person, or I can't stand this situation that I'm in. And I feel like it's interesting, because like most Western movies or TV shows don't really, well, movies, I guess you could say movies, don't really, well, I can't really make generalizations, but I was just thinking about a movie that I saw on Amazon, where it was about just kind of like, it was about this guy who started off like a nice guy, but slowly but surely he became just like a horrible person. And it was very interesting, because you saw his motivations, and you saw how you were rooting for him to do better, but he just kept going, just kept doing worse and worse. And it was like, no, come on, man, don't do that. No. But you also saw like why he was making the choices he was making, and it was like, well, there's not really a lot of options. And then it was interesting, really interesting. Nebula Black says, what if he's a horrible person at the start, and then towards the end of the game he becomes unbearable? That sounds like a joke, like the Joker would tell or something. Like, there was a guy who no one could stand, and so he worked it on himself every day, little by little. He began to change, and by the end, you know what happened? He was worse. It's like, of course, it just gets worse. It just gets worse, and that's the story. The moral of the story is it just gets worse. Banjo says, that's a beautiful idea, the not liking humans and taking the story from that. Maybe the character could be saved at one point and is very upset, and that point is called back multiple times. Maybe, yeah. Big says, what's more important, story or gameplay? Gameplay. But story is close. Well, it depends on the kind of game, though. Like, if it's like a you know, platformer or something like that, and let's say like it's an ordinary platformer, then yeah, I would say gameplay. If it's like a visual novel, if it's like a, you know, a text adventure game, if it's like a RPG, like, you know, an adventure game or RPG like this. By RPG, I don't mean like a Final Fantasy RPG. I just mean an RPG in the sense of it's a top-down game where you talk to people. If it's something like that, I would say stories can be more important. But even then, like, the gameplay needs to be really on point. And when you think about gameplay, like, what is the gameplay for this? You would walk around and talk to people, or interact with people. Interact with, you know, elements, and that is basically the gameplay. It's just, you know, moving around and stuff. So when you think of it from that perspective, the gameplay, it should be tight, right? Like, even if the gameplay is not much there, it should be tight. It shouldn't get in your way. So that means that the player needs to move quickly when you want to move quickly. You know, you shouldn't get stuck on things. You shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't be awkward to move around. It should be really enjoyable to enjoy the story. So I think that on that sense, if the point of the game is gameplay, then yeah, it needs to be really solid. Big says, is it only me that is annoying with the 59 counter? Round that up. Yeah, it's supposed to be the FPS, but it seems like it never goes above or below 59. Yeah. 34. It does. Okay, it does change. It's just at 59. I don't know why it's not 60. Let's see. Okay, so we have to figure out what to do for the state. So we'll do something like this. If p.state equals player moving, and then he can move collision checks. Yeah. But dx and dy, I guess we'll put that in there too. Okay. So then if raylib.is_key press system.key bindings space, or action rather, p.state equals player interacting. Okay, so this should basically mean that I can't move once I, yeah, if I press space, I can't move anymore, which is good. So now we just need to know if we're actually interacting with something. So system, or no wait, it's not system. NPC check. So that should be like p.position raymath.vector2 add p.position p.movement. Wait. What? Yeah, no, vector2. Oh, whoops. Okay, that's not supposed to be there. That's supposed to be there. There we go. Alright, so that doesn't really help because movement needs to be larger than that, doesn't it? Or is that enough? Let's see. Let's see. Oops. Also, this should be facing, not movement. Okay. Let's see. Big says, this game will have Zelda-like combat. Probably not. It's just more story based. It's kind of, if you've ever played like Yume Nikki or something like that, I think that would work. That might work pretty well. So this isn't working. Let's see. Let's see. It would be, it probably should return the NPC itself, but we'll leave that for now. Let's see. T.in interact rectangle. Is it because the rectangle is so small? Let's try that. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that's part of it. Now we just have to actually stretch this a little bit. So raymath.vector2 scale. We'll say 16. Oh, this doesn't actually return. Ah, alright. Let's see. So they're talking about basically story versus, everyone's talking about story versus gameplay, which is a valid discussion. It's hard to say whether a story should be better, like if a story is better or worse. Hey, it's working. Yo, let's go. Let's go, boy. It's working. Is it working from all directions? Nah, not really. But hey, boy, it's working. All right. Kind of. Let's see. That's actually kind of working. Let's try a little bit of a larger distance. That might be part of it. All right, it is working. Yeah. Oh, that's a little far. Let's go for a little bit less. 16 was like 20 might be pretty good. Let's see. Banjo Media says mechanics is hard. It's getting hard to compensate for story, but it is possible. I just haven't found a game like that, I guess you mean. Yeah, I mean, there's games that have really weak stories, but that really rock in terms of gameplay. You know, a lot of people would say something like, how is this not in there? It's 24, right? I guess so. Oh, because it's like 10. Okay, so yeah, it probably would need to be like 24. Yeah, that might be enough for a diagonal. For the diag, let's see. I think it kind of works. All right, let's see. Slider says this man is great. Thank you, thank you. I'm not though. Nebula Black F says, dude, your code is getting messy slowly. It's slow enough to not notice before it's too late. Yeah, it gets messy sometimes. Slider says, someone says, how many subscribers, views, etc. did you need to start live streaming? I started live streaming after I had a following already, so I'm not sure of the minimum. Slider says, I think you only need 1,000 to start live streaming because I have 16,000 and I can make a live streaming. Hey, congrats. All right, so I think we should be actually ready to like proceed here. What we need to do is pass a pointer to the NPC. Which we can do. Big says, I got 15 subscribers, but I post 0 videos. Probably all spam bots. Alright, so what we're gonna do is have this return an NPC, I guess. A pointer to an NPC. So if it does interact, then we'll return a pointer to the NPC. And otherwise, we'll return nil. So we say NPC check is not equal to nil. Well, I guess we'll just do it like this. NPC. Okay. So then we want to know what we're interacting with. I wonder if this is actually if this is... Yeah, actually, we might just leave it like this, because the way I usually do this kind of a system is I get to know like what I'm interacting with, and then pressing the space button like triggers interact on that thing, and I keep a pointer to that NPC, and whenever I press space, I trigger interact on that thing. But maybe it would be better to basically leave that to the NPC, so it's like the NPC handles it rather than the player triggering the NPC to tell it to do stuff. Banjo Media says, good night, everyone. SolarLune, remember, Sunvox, I love you, man. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Slider says, why don't you, SolarLune, why don't you make a full 3D game? 3D is a lot of work. I mean, a 2D game is a lot of work too, but I feel like there's not enough. We kind of moved past 2D. I feel like there when you think of like the timing where 3D came around, like we were just kind of getting to good 2D stuff, like Capcom versus SNK, Mega Man 8, you know, a lot of like 2D and 3D games like Wild Arms 2. There was like this one kind of key time where there was like a really strong 2D sprites in games, and that time kind of like was a really short time in gaming history. Now, you know, they immediately moved to 3D. Once you have, you know, PlayStation 1, everyone's basically jumping to 3D. So it's like you don't see too many 2D games anymore. So I kind of feel like, you know, if you just focus on 2D, if you just try to make interesting 2D locales, you know, you can do it. I don't think that you have to jump to 3D. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, because this is pretty good. We're going to basically do something like this. So an NPC has an on value. So if we press this action button and the NPC is there, then we turn the NPC on, and basically the NPC, what it's going to do is what it's going to do at that point. So this is kind of just the basis for an NPC. So every NPC has an interact area, and whether it's on or not. And I guess we could say a flag, right? Because like, well, we'll get into that later. I'm anticipating a flag. Basically, when you have an NPC, it has a flag, and that gets saved when you interact with it. That's my idea currently, but I'll have to think about it. Slider says, why don't you make a full 3D game? I think that you have the power to make it. Thank you. I mean, it's not impossible to make a 3D game, but it's a lot of work, and I feel like, you know, it's just easier to do 2D, maybe. And I would just like to make 2D stuff, I think. Nebula Black says, I have this forgotten old YouTube channel that has like 100 subscribers with some uploads reaching 100,000 views. Okay, so we'll probably do this at some point, but with the flag. But basically, oh shoot, I might have to start making a to-do list, because there's a couple of things I want to do at this stage. I need to make an actual key binding system. I need to do gamepad. I'm gonna write this down. Let me. File to do. I guess I could say to do dot to do. No, okay, to do. I want to do gamepad input. I want to do. I'm gonna need to do some GUI stuff. I need a better actual key binding system. I'm gonna need. Yeah, these are some things I'm gonna need. I want to abstract out, or I guess you could say, make an actual level map struct. Yeah. All right, so this is a good start. So the thing about NPCs, or the thing about Go rather, something that's kind of cool is you can basically, even though there's no inheritance, you can, what's the word? Can't think of the word. But you can like take a struct and embed it into another struct. And what that does is it adds all the fields to the struct. So yeah. So like a dialogue NPC might have a string that it says, and it would have all of these things, but it might have a string specifically that it says. We'll try that. So like just doing that makes it so that it takes all this stuff and puts it in here. But it can also have a string, we'll say the dialogue. I guess we say text. That's fine. Where's the colors? Hold on. I need, yeah, sky blue. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do down over here now. Wait, hold on. Big says, you can make gameplay-wise 2D games that render in 3D. That is 3D enough for most people. Yeah. That's true. So I guess you'll never actually directly create an NPC then. Which means you don't actually, I don't need this stuff. An NPC is just for kind of, it's not meant to actually be interacted with or draw or anything like that. Am I out of sound? Music. Yo, I think I might have finally run out of the music. Yep. Well done. We got through like 40 minutes of music or something like that. Let's see. Says, or oof good says, am I correct in assuming that this is an adventure game in the vein of The Secret of Monkey Island, but more like original Zelda-like top-down isometric, isn't it? The perspective is a top-down isometric, but the actual gameplay would probably fall a little bit more in line with Secret of Monkey Island, in that it's your goal is to interact with people and head on to new areas and explore and stuff. It's not supposed to be like a actual combat game with actual combat where you're like fighting and stuff. Not really. There we go. Okay. So, let's see here. We might be on the right track. So does that actually work? I'm kind of surprised. Oh, because there's no... Yeah, there's no update or draw. Okay. So... It doesn't like this because there's no update or draw for NPCs anymore. You know what? I might be making this more complex than I need to make it. So we'll just do this. We can see about making this kind of generalized later. Let's not count our chickens before they hatch, kind of a thing. Okay. You know what? It's just easier to just refer to it as though it were there's only NPCs. So I gotta figure out exactly what I'm gonna do for it should be at only although I guess actually what I should do is basically give an NPC a list of actions and then add to that list of actions. That way an NPC is basically like a character that does things rather than a holster, I guess you could say, for actions. Because I mean, like a dialogue NPC, like we're gonna get this to basically display this message, but at some point we want it to do more than that, right? We want it to do a sequence of things. How we're gonna actually communicate that from the tile map itself is something else. I don't know. I'm thinking that what I might do is I might have it be like give it some sort of property and like a code, and then correlate that to a list of like a file that has all of the things that it needs to do. I'm not sure. I have to figure out how I'm gonna do that. Upgood says, do you have a story planned out, or just getting the game engine running? Just getting the game engine running. I have a story idea. I have an idea, and I know I want it to be really deep on character development, because I love character development. I love seeing characters grow. So I think that would be a good basis. I just need to actually like build the thing. All right, so this is good. We can interact and we can't move afterward, which is good. So let's go ahead and do this. So this should tell us if the NPC is on. No. So then what's going on? Let's see here. Oh, okay. I guess this is where we need it to be a pointer. So then, yeah, it needs to be a list of pointers to NPCs. An NPC needs to return a pointer to an NPC. That might be what we need to do to get it to work. Let's see. Because then it might be a there we go. Cool. So now what we gotta do. Oh, it says apologies for all the questions. No problem, man. Questions are what streaming is all about. Interacting with people is what streaming is all about. Okay, so this is actually working. We just need to have a system of displaying something on screen. So the last thing we're gonna make this stream, I guess, because I've been going for how long here? 6:31. Yeah. So I've been going for like over 2 hours. So yeah, this is gonna be the last thing. We're gonna actually display a message. So what we need to do is we need to make a GUI thing. So we'll make a we'll make a GUI thing here. So we'll make a new file here. We'll call it GUI.go. It can be in system, I guess. Okay. Alright, so the idea is that basically you call this every frame to update the GUI. And then we also have a function, we also will have a function to draw the GUI. So, okay. System.draw GUI. System.update GUI. GT. Okay, so then this should basically relit.draw text. This will be your message, and it will be, we'll just draw something right real quick. Let's just go with that for now. So nothing. We'll just do this real quick. Testing. Okay, so small. We need it to be bigger. Let's go with 16. Nope. So you probably, actually, let's go back to that real quick, because you might not have seen that. But basically, you see how it's kind of like ugly text? That's because fonts are generally built to work with certain sizes, you know, if possible. So this one that comes with Raylib seems like it's built basically for 10, 20, and multiples of 10. So this is good. We just need to actually position it where we need it to be. Is there a... Okay, there is an extended version of draw text that takes a font, position, spacing, tint. So So nothing to actually draw. Oh no! There's nothing to actually like control like how wide or anything like that. Measure text. String width for default font. Alright. Alright. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna make another function that is set text. I just actually I guess we should do something like this. Okay. I'm gonna draw a message. Okay, so what we need to do is do that typewriter thing still. And then we also need to actually set this. So let's go over here to test map. Okay, so we have the message still there to hey there. So what we need to do is when we load in the NPC, we set the message using a property. Okay, so we say for blank prop in range in new or obj.properties if prop dot name equal to msg new npc dot message equals prop dot value. Okay. Whew. Okay, so that should be good. Then in npc we say update if npc dot on if npc dot on, then system dot set text message. npc dot message. We'll see if this works. Yo, it works. We just have to actually position it now. So let's see here. We want to actually position, and I think there's actually like a tool you can use to help position stuff like GUI and things. I'll just assume that we want it roughly the last quarter. Divided by 4 minus screen h divided by 4 times times 3. Yeah, okay. I was like, am I thinking right? I think I am. All right. So we should put it basically in the bottom quarter of the screen. Nope, I was mistaken. I got confused. It's not negative, it's positive. It goes down, positive to negative. Hey, there we go. Hey there. Let's say 5/4. A little better. All right, and we'll also push it over a solid 16. Well, a solid 12. Hey there. Very nice. Now let's see if we can actually do this timer thing. So the thing about timers, there's a couple ways we could do this. One would be like using channels, I guess, in Golang, but that feels like a little bit much. Another way would be maybe to do like we just use time. Yeah, we'll just use time. Set type timer equals time. So then type timer equals time dot now. And then we say if, well actually we'll say message do it like this. Okay. So the idea is that you set the text, and that sets the type timer, and it also resets current message. And then update GUI says if time.now minus or sub type timer dot seconds is greater than 0.1, message plus equal, or wait, current message. Oh man. Oh man, how do I gotta look at something up. Hold on. Golang by example, help me out. Or go by example. Oh yeah, this is a good resource, by the way. If you're a fan of, if you like Go by example is really nice. Helps you out with getting to stuff really quickly. Join. Nah. Repeat. Nope. Replace. Nope. Nope. Split. No. To lower to upper. How do I? S equals strings. Okay. Let's try this. Strings dot. Oh. 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 What am I thinking? I probably could just do current message equal. Oh. Oh. Okay. Message index. We'll just do it like that. So then we don't need current message. We'll just do it like that, and then we'll say message index plus if message index is greater than message dot or length message index equal length message. Okay, so this should actually do it. We don't need current message anymore. So this is gonna just basically, I think I can. Oh man, does it do slices? Oh my goodness. Oh, it does? Slice bounds out of. It does do slices. Okay, so we'll do it like this. If message if length message is greater than 0, then we'll slice it. We'll just say it's greater than 0 for now. I'm not sure. I have to fix this later. So message 0 to message index. All right, let's see if this works. It's not working. What did I do awry? It never types. Okay, so time.now.sub type timer. Oh wait, it's because this is, yeah, okay. So this is what's going on. So mpc.on equals false. No, that's not good. That's not gonna work. I need this to work just once. I'll make a function that gets called then. So this turns it on, and this also sets the text. Or no. Well, that complicates things. Well, it's not necessarily a bad idea. This is okay. But what we can also do is only do this if message is not equal to message. That way this isn't always resetting. Let's see here. Big says, do you have a debugger for Go? No. Wait. Yes. I do. I do have a debugger for Go. It makes my computer heat up even more. But yeah, I do have a debugger. I think it's debugging. I think it's going to try to debug. I think. There it goes. Can't debug non-main package. Oh, okay. So you have to be in main. I have to be in main. Okay. Yo, it works, boy. Let's go, son. Let's go, boy. Yo. Okay. I guess not. It worked. It just worked. It was just working. But is it because of the new line? Is that what threw it off? Let's see. Okay, that works. Does it like not know what to do with new line characters? I guess not. Let's see. Let's try this. Oh, hold on. Hold on, everybody. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Oh. There we go. Sorry about that. I just wanted to, I got called away, but I'm back. So let's see exactly why this isn't printing out, because that's weird. Actually, that should be in here. Yeah, it's not, it seems like it's not drawing anything. Yeah, it's just not taking anything. So message is not being set, basically. That's what it seems like is going on here. And it's not being set, I'm guessing, because it's going back all the way to here. Message. So having a new line completely invalidates the string. Excellente. Great. Why? 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 Whatever. Alright, well, this still is working. There we go, boy. Get this mess out of here, boy. We're talking getting mess done, boy. I'm gonna do a really basic thing here. 12 screen H divided by 5 times 4. Screen W, screen H, black, regulate that black. So this should be like a little space where it types in. Yo, there it goes. Actually, this should be 0. And we could also do a little draw rectangle gradient V. Position 0. Position Y should be that minus 16. Height, width, screen W, height 16. Color 1, array lib dot color. Dot color. No, why won't this give me the color? Why won't it give me the actual color? RGBA 0000. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty crazy. All right, let's see. Let's also let's give it a little more room. Yeah. So yeah, it works. It works. It's not like perfect, but it works. Mariano Sulugoy says, "Sup, did it on time before you finish?" I'm not sure what you mean. Did I do what on time? Oh, it's because... Okay, that's why I missed it. Type timer equals time dot now. There we go. Because yeah, it was just like going super fast. This should actually get it nice and... There we go. Let's see here. Oh, whoops, wrong side. Yeah, Geese Tazback says, "Hey man, I was wondering why people started using Go for games and such. I believe in games object-oriented programming is a must. Could you explain the pros of Go besides threading?" It's a nice, simple language. I like it. I like it because it's simple specifically. And by simple, I don't mean like it's not super complex. There are some complex elements and things you have to wrap your mind around, but there's not a lot of things. Like if there's another way to do something, that's the way to do it. Like it's not like a lot of other languages where you have a lot of other options or a lot of other ways to do one thing. It's like basically you solve things in Go with the tools that they give you, and there's no other tools to solve it. Basically, like you know, there's some things like you have something to do a thing, and that's about it. There's no other ways to do. Like basically, I like that the language is kind of focused around having primary solutions for problems, where it's like you have a problem, here's how to solve it, and if you want to solve it a different way, you can do it, but this language itself basically creates kind of one method to solve whatever problems you have. But this isn't bad at all. The pros of Go, besides that, it's a compiled language, so that means it runs pretty fast, which is nice. There's some cool things about the language, even though there's some stuff I don't like. There's some cool things about the language too. It feels like, I guess you could say it's kind of like C, or like a super kind of a low-level language, but it's kind of updated. I guess that's the best way to kind of examine or explain it. It's like you reduce the idea down. I mean, it's a language that's reduced down, but at the same time, it's not super. Like, yeah, I guess that's the way I would explain it. Like, it's like C, but it's super. I can't think of what I'm trying to say. It's like a low-level language, but that was built recently. So if you like low-level languages, if you like kind of working with some more basic things like pointers, you know, or you don't mind working with more basic things like that, you know, it gives you some power as well to have concurrency, like you mentioned, to give you kind of, you know, different approaches to, or a simpler kind of approach to things, I guess you could say. It's something that I haven't really messed around with would be concurrency or like channels and things. I know that you can do stuff with that, and I know that like you can do actually some pretty crazy things with channels and Go routines and things like that. So I kind of want to try that, because like the way I did this timer was a pretty standard way you do it, where it's like, you know, we just have a timestamp essentially, and we just check the timestamp and compare. But I could also like make a channel that runs concurrently that just waits waits for this much time, and that would be more, I think, Go like than what I'm doing here. So it's something to consider. I wouldn't say like you need OOP to make a game. I think that's your, I think your like what you consider to be OOP is up to you. Like, there's no objects in Go in terms of like classes and instances, but there's still object-oriented programming by using structs and using interfaces and using basically referring to objects, through those methods, using receiver methods and things like that. So it's basically the same thing in terms of like you still have object-oriented programming in a sense, but if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. And a lot of games were made without object-oriented programming. Like if I wanted to actually make, let's say I wanted to do like asteroids or something back in the day, I'd assume in addition to using, low-level programming languages or assembly or whatever, like if they wanted to do an actual, like, wanted to spawn an asteroid, they would spawn like the health of the asteroid in an array and spawn the position of the asteroids in an array. Like here's the X positions, here's the Y positions, here's the and just they would just pack all the data in, or pack them in some other approach. So like you don't have to have an object-oriented programming approach like, oh, I need classes and instances. Like what you consider to be an object is completely up to you. You could encode all your data in strings. I mean, you could do it. Like you could say, depending on the kind of game you have, you could say, well, we'll represent the entire game field, the entire map as a string, and just change the letters to change what they, what the things are on the map and what they do. It's completely up to you. It's not like, oh, you need to have an object in order to like properly make a game. It's completely up to you. So I would say like the pros. I can't say the pros too much because I don't know Go to the extent to be able to say like, oh yeah, that's what you need to do. This is a really Go-like approach to things, or this is what Go enables you to do that you can't do in other languages. I haven't gotten there yet, but it's working. It's working fine. Nice. So the next thing we're gonna do next time, let's see. Oops. Let's see. Ufgood says, I know it's not PC, but thanks for not dropping the F-bomb every other word like some other channels do. That's the opposite of not PC. That's PC. I don't know if it's PC or not, but basically, don't worry about it. I do not curse. By definition, basically, I don't curse, and I appreciate that you appreciate it. No problem. Yeah, I don't drop the F-bomb like other channels. Yeah. So, let's see here. Mariano Sulugoy says, I like the fact that you can import a file directly from GitHub. That is very nice. That is actually a really, really, really nice feature. And you are correct. That is a great ability that a lot of languages don't give you the ability to do. Where you can just pull straight from GitHub or straight from other URLs, I guess. You might say, like, that's not a huge deal, but it kind of is when you consider, like, the process by which you install a library for a lot of other languages involves like downloading a file, putting it into your project folder, and hoping that it properly imports for whatever reason, depending on if it's properly, it should import, like for Java it should import, but it might not import correctly. Let's see. Caterpickle says, what's up? What's up? Big says, is this Go game just an experiment, or will you be mostly using Go going forward? Can't say that for sure. I like using Go right now. I haven't gotten tired of it, and I feel like I've gotten to the stage where if I was going to give up, I would have. I haven't given up yet, and I feel like at this point, the only thing that's going to stop me in terms of, finishing this project is just running out of steam and not wanting to work on it anymore. But like the actual mechanics are all there. Like movement is there, interacting, collision, map importing, like everything's here. Like now it's just a matter of making assets and adding features to describe the game. Like the core, the hard part is kind of done. Like in terms of like the hard parts remaining would be like scripting. Like if I wanted to script like, oh, then this should happen, then this character should do this, then that character should do that. Like that would be kind of a tough thing to do. Key binding might be a little tough because I have to make it so that you can, well, that probably wouldn't be too tough, not for a 2D game, but basically I'd have to make it so that you can use a gamepad or a keyboard. That actually wouldn't take too long to do. So like I'm kind of past the hard parts. Like what the hardest part of a 2D top-down game, it would probably be the tile loader, but I didn't have to do that part. So like most of it is kind of done. So I feel like I would probably be good with the Go. I can't say if I would mostly be using Go going forward. It depends. I don't know. But this is not bad so far. I just have to make the animations and make some more assets and do some more tests and stuff. Mariano Sulagoy says, "Huh? I think the most hard part is not done. What kind of things will you be able to do besides walking and talking?" Not much. It's gonna be. I don't know if you've ever played like Yuminiki or any kind of game like that, where it's like your goal is to interact with the world, explore, just kind of walk around and do stuff. It's not really gonna be. I guess I'll have to do the GUI, an inventory system. Yeah, so that there's gonna be more stuff to it, but like the actual core game is pretty solid at this point, I think. Like the hardest, well, no, I guess the GUI is gonna be a considerable task, but it shouldn't be that hard to do. Ufgood says, "You're saying my name correctly. Uff rhymes with puff. It's kind of a nerdy thing, but the character in the '88 Lucasfilm movie name is Willow Ufgood." Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is, I feel like I'm working through it pretty well. Not bad at all. Yeah, so this is good. This is really good. I'm happy with this. All right, well, I think this is where I'm gonna bow out. Thank you very much for watching. It's been fun. It's been real. I'm happy to have made a lot of progress on this. Let me just make sure I'm writing this down. I gotta make an inventory system. I gotta make ability to take place and give items to NPCs. You gotta add the save system. You gotta add map transitions. This is a good start. I gotta do some more stuff. Let's see. Ufgood says, "I'm going to be making a 2D point-and-click adventure and possibly vlogging it, so your live streams are very useful. Good work so far." Thank you. Thank you very much. Big says, "GG, well played." GGWP. Thanks. Yeah, so this is pretty good. We got the save, we got map transitions, items, inventory, GUI, I'm thinking action system, sequences of actions for NPCs instead of directly saying and doing things. Yeah, because basically I can't imagine like a direct say do things system where like this, where like we have a message and we write the message that we want to write out. It'd probably be better to have like a code that corresponds to what we want it to do, and then have an action system that like loads in, like, okay, it's supposed to do this, it's supposed to do that, it's supposed to do this, and then do that. Something like that. I gotta figure out an action system. And I also have to, it would be nice if there was some way to kind of configure that system in here somehow, but I'm not sure how I can do that. Maybe each property could be an action. That's one theory. Not a great theory, but not a bad theory. It's not a bad idea, but it's not a great idea either. Let's see here. let's see. Mariano Silver said multiple choice input. Yeah, that's true. I have to figure out how to do that too. Big says loading from ID is better, especially if you want to support multiple localization. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. Loading from ID might be better. Well, yeah, if I wanted to localize it, I'd have to load from ID. I couldn't write it in the code, because that couldn't really, yeah. So that's something to consider. Mariano Suloy says, Ufgood says, take it easy, checking out. All right, see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Mariano says, have you read about bytecode and interpretation trees? Nope. That's more close to what you described. You mean like what I describe it for GUI stuff, or do you mean like what I describe about something else? I mean, I'm sorry, not GUI stuff. What I describe about like having the decisions and actions be something that can be interpreted. It's on the book Game Development Patterns. Okay. I'll have to look it up, I guess. See about that. Is code to be run by a virtual machine, kind of making your own scripting language or visual code editor. In this case, your visual code editor would be tiled custom properties. Maybe that might be a good idea. I don't know, because I've done that before for Gear, and I did my own kind of scripting language, and that was a pain. That was a pain. At least I thought it was a pain. I think I would rather do it basically using functions and stuff with a with an actual like struct, or yeah, like an actual struct that I could like call functions on and like see what variables they expect and stuff like that, and have kind of a more what's the word, defined and explicit explanation for things, like, you know, this is going to do this, then it's going to do that, then it's going to do this, kind of, you know, more so like that, I think. Okay, so that's something to consider. I have to think about that. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. It's been fun. If you want to support you know, more streams and things, please feel free to catch me over on my, hold on. Yeah, feel free to catch me over on my on the, like, in the description. You can, you know, go ahead and buy something on Itch or Bandcamp or Steam or whatever. I'd appreciate it. And otherwise, thank you for stopping by, and I'll have to catch you guys on the flip side. Mariano, before I leave, Mariano Suloy says, yeah, but think about RPG Maker's events. I have to look up RPG Maker's events to see how they did it again. It's been a while, but I'll check that out. Alright, thanks. See ya.